Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Total Podcast with me, your host, Phil Scott. So, on this episode of the Total Podcast, I have a returning guest with a brand new book. She's an airline pilot, she's an author, and she's a pet rescuer. Her name is Erin Murphy. So, Erin, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here, Phil. I love chatting with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I love our conversations. They're always fun and interesting, and you've written this brand new book now. And the last time you were on, you kind of teased it a little bit, but now
Yeah,
it's out and we can talk about it now. So, uh, first of all, your first book was Halfway Home, and that
yeah,
came out in 2022. And
yeah.
now you have a brand new book. So tell us about your brand new book.
Okay, so the brand new book is entitled Daring Dexter. It's a story on change and aviation's special role in animal rescue. So, at the end of my first book, Halfway Home, which features my first rescue pup, everyone kept saying to me, of course, when's there going to be a second book? And at the end of Halfway Home, we want to know what Zeke's life blossomed into outside of his shelter life. So I toyed with that notion. And then throughout that period, my husband and I had fostered approximately 10 dogs from the Brandywine Valley SPCA in Westchester, Pennsylvania. That's primarily where I volunteer, and that's initially where I learned about aviation's significant role in animal rescue and adoptions. So one of our fosters was Dexter Morgan after the TV show. That was his shelter name. So Dexter came into our life. He was extremely fearful. He really resisted change. He just could not shake some of his fear-based behaviors. So he ended up being an epic foster fail. So we ended up adopting Dexter just about a year ago in April. So that is the premise of the book. This is a street dog, and he resists the air rescue crews because and I made it comical. He thinks that he has street dog swagger. He's a street artist, and being rescued is some sort of like a lame downgrade in life. Nothing to do with it. So until he's actually forced to face the situation and address some of his fear-based behavior. So this is my other pup, Zeke or Dexter, and then you can see the pilot Maeve and the shelter worker Maeve and Zeke have a cameo. So it's not a true series. So Halfway Home is told in a narrator voice, and Daring Dexter is told in Dexter's voice. So a true series would have the same voice going on for the reader. However, I just really had to include Zeke and Maeve. Zeke is much more confident in Daring Dexter. He actually is helpful to Dexter, whereas Halfway Home is a little bit more of an emotional book about a really unorthodox dog who has a hard time getting adopted himself. And then you see Zeke in this one, very confident, playful, and then ultimately they end up going to the same home.
Now, you used the same illustrator in the second book, correct?
I did.
And the illustrations are very, very nice, just like in the first book. And I wanted to ask you, what has been the feedback been like for you as you've encountered people who have read the book? And because the reviews are awesome for your book, and you've had some events for your book. And tell us about that, and tell us how everything's been received on social media as well.
Okay, so the book has been received, and I'm very proud of that, and very proud of both of them. It's a little unnerving to kind of branch off, even to do a second book, because you think, am I still going to maintain an audience? Is this intriguing or interesting enough? What's been really cool is because I didn't know this book was going to come to life, especially including Dexter. And so people that have followed me on social media saw my journey from fostering him to end up deciding that we wanted him. So there was a whole lot of cheerleading around Dexter in celebration of us adopting him. So that has created a lot of fun energy, which has been resulting in some great reviews because people kind of feel like they already know him and seen him come into our life. What I really like about Daring Dexter is I got a copyright approval. So all of the aircraft and the logos that are in this book features specific animal air rescue. So we have Pilots to the Rescue. They're based in New Jersey. Wings of Rescue. They are affiliated all across the nation and internationally, but primarily with the Brandywine Valley SPCA in Pennsylvania. And then Race for Life Rescue, they are in the Midwest. So this is their actual aircraft. Their logos are all throughout the book. Information about all their air rescues are in the book. So that is creating a lot of fun energy too. Like Halfway Home was just a little bit more generic to communicate the aviation role. So that has been great. So I've really kind of tapped into some fun events that have really made me smile. I've really linked up to some girls in aviation events at airports. It's really been wonderful. The last one I did was in Northeast Philadelphia. I donated 25 books to the girls that were in attendance there. I had great joy signing them. I enjoy signing to pets and people. All of that is available through my website, erinmurphybooks.com. The next event I had was at the Brandywine Valley Airport in Westchester, Pennsylvania. I started to collaborate, Phil, with a lot of other authors that are in aviation that have authored books. So not even necessarily just pilots, but there is a world out there that is a really specific niche of aviation authors. So I enjoy celebrating that alongside my book. So as much as I'm marketing and sharing and selling Halfway Home and Daring Dexter, I genuinely get satisfaction and gratification out of celebrating other people's books. And I've really honed in on the other authors from my publishing house, Biblio Kid, and this world of aviation authors. So I had a hangar night at the airport where we had food and refreshments, and I got to share 2-minute video clips of authors from that in aviation that have authored books. So people were, and then the authors were generous enough to donate a couple of their books. So they were free for the taking. So it was like a win-win, totally enjoyable, similar to what you like to do. You just like to celebrate other people's wins, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
I like it too.
and it sounds like that just doing that first book just opened up this amazing, huge window for you to connect with other people and to do all of these other wonderful things.
Absolutely. I mean, in all honesty, I mean, it's a little cheesy, but it was really my first dog, Zeke. I mean, he was such an unorthodox guy. He was nervous. He would drool a lot. It would came across as unattractive at the shelter. And my husband and I just saw something special in him. And then started to see a book character in him, and that grew the story. Then that grew my connection to aviation air rescue. So it just blossomed so much from there. Now I'm connected to so many authors. I just genuinely enjoy the whole community. And I've met so many authors through you and your show. It's been great. I
And you,
really can. Alec, she was a winner of I have a Halfway Home coloring book edition that's available on Amazon for $9.99. It has the
yes.
whole free text. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to be able to keep reaching other demographics that can afford books at different rates, because the hardcover books for self-published authors in particular, they're very costly for us to purchase and then sell. So I even just did an event at Barnes and Noble, and I talked to the manager there. I mean, the hardcover books are pushing $30 right now. So that is totally fine for some people, but obviously it's not for others. So I love this coloring book so much because, like I said, the story can be enjoyed. If you don't see yourself in Halfway Home or see people who look like you with the coloring book, you can draw. I encourage people to draw yourself in. You can have the skin color look like anybody that you want if you don't already see that in Halfway Home. If you want to be the pilot, you can kick Maeve out and draw yourself in. If you want to draw dog in at the shelter, you can draw your dog in. So I love the flexibility of the coloring book, and it's the most affordable way to read Halfway Home.
That's wonderful. And you've done other events, you've done other things in media as well, other interviews and such as well. And that's I'm sure opened up more opportunities as well and more exposure.
Yes, what I have learned, Phil, just in my amateur world of being an author here is what you and I are doing is the most beneficial, and FaceTime. And I don't mean like FaceTime on an iPad, but like getting your face and your voice out there. Even if you're traditionally published, I've also learned that no one is going to pitch and sell your book like you. Like, no one's going to be able to emote and explain the details like you. Even if your book ends up everywhere. I mean, that's why traditional authors have an agent who sets them up on a publicity tour and a book tour, is because people need to feel that connection to people. So the best way that I can do that, as you know, I'm still flying for United Airlines. I'm traveling a lot with that. So my time is limited. The idea of coming home and then leaving and going on a book tour when I have a family and two dogs is not appealing to me. However, the best way I can do it is through video time. And so I was featured on NBC Philadelphia with Lucy Bustamante as our local anchor woman here, and she's just great. So I love chatting with her.
That's pretty cool. Now, I wanted to ask you too about Dexter the dog. Okay,
Yes.
so tell us a little more about Dexter and what the whole experience has been like since you've had him.
Okay, so I came back from unloading an animal air rescue flight, and I was at the shelter, and it was just one of those days where the energy was up and it was a good day. And I started to take a few dogs out of the shelter, and I would just check them out even for the day. So it wasn't a full-fledged foster, because we live on 6 acres in Pennsylvania, and we have 200 acres of hiking trails that aren't owned by us, but we have access to them right off outside our yard. So I would like to take dog and just get them a break from the shelter. So I said to the manager, I think I'm going to take a dog for a few hours today. And he pointed out a few, and then I migrated over to Dexter. He told me he was very nervous, very shy, more so of men. And at the moment, my husband wasn't home. He was flying on his own airline trip. So I said, all right, I'll take this guy. And I always am kind of looking for someone who's mellow, because Zeke has exemplified behavior of being an only dog. You know, he can be a little territorial. He's not confident about people entering the house until he warms up to them. And that takes time. Like, I don't mean he warms up in 5 minutes. So fostering kind of worked for us, because we kind of like let Zeke buck up and tolerate another dog in the house, but it was only temporary. So it seemed to kind of fit. But Dexter just sort of left Zeke alone. They did a little sniffing and a hello, and then he was just so fearful. So I ended up keeping him for the night. I checked him out at the shelter for the night, and then my husband met him, and that was the first time I saw his reaction towards men, and he was horrified. He wouldn't even look at him. Anytime he came into a room, my husband came into the room, he would turn and he would cower. So we really started pushing for him to be adopted in our community. We introduced him to so many people. And what we were really pushing was a woman or women household. We just thought that he would just do best there, and then they can slowly integrate men into his life. So we ended up realizing we started advocating all of his positive qualities so hard, because we loved him so much, and he was just ours.
Oh, well, it sounds like and just looking at your social media post, that Zeke and Dexter get along pretty well now.
They're doing great. Yes, there was a learning period. Zeke communicated some boundaries in the house, and we kind of went with that, because we knew one of them was going to establish being in charge, right? That is how the animal world works.
Right.
So with some guidance, we allowed that to happen. And Dexter is completely fine being the beta dog. He doesn't care. Zeke has a hard time in like tight spaces where he can get a little chippy, like a lot of us, right? Like, I have no desire to even stand in a concert, like up like first row up at a floor anymore. I did that in my 20s and 30s, and now I go bonkers. Everybody get away from me. So I understand that. So one of Zeke's problems is the doorway entry. It's too tight. And if Dexter would bump into him, so we just started to have Dexter stay and let Zeke come in. And now we don't even have to say anything. Dexter knows he's second, and he lets Zeke come in. Zeke gets settled, and then we kind of invite, with the hand gesture, invite him to come on into the house. So there's little things like that we just allowed that. What helped as a tool was we used a slip lead leash in the house. And I used to think that was very odd. And it was a suggestion from the volunteer and staff at the Brandywine Valley SPCA. So until Dexter can learn commands and understand Zeke's boundaries, I could use the leash to create the space that I know Zeke needs to avoid a dog fight, which of course we all want to avoid. Who wants a dog fight in their house? So,
Right.
but pals now, they are running around in the yard. We haven't full-fledged got to snuggling on the couch together, but we could at least share a couch without it turning into, some sort of turf war.
That's awesome. What a journey that's been. What
It
an
is.
amazing journey it's been.
Yeah, they have elevated the love in our house, within our family. I mean, all of it. My parents are like literally adore these dogs like they're their grandchildren. Obviously, the books, talking about them, sharing about them. And then also, it gives me an opportunity for people to share about their animals. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoy science books in particular to pets, and in addition to people. People get a real big kick out of that. It's a lot of fun.
Do you have any events coming up anytime soon?
The next one I have is at the Chester County Library in Exton. So I applied for an opportunity to present there. I guess there's going to be a total of 35 local authors in Pennsylvania. So it's May 19th from 1 to 4. They're essentially going to kind of shut down the library and set all of us, all 35 of us, up throughout the whole library and invite the public in to meet and greet and purchase if they're interested. So I'll have Halfway Home, I'll have Daring Dexter, and I'll have the Halfway Home coloring book. And I always bring some kind of stickers or fun giveaways. Another thing that I really liked to do, like I had an event up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is where I grew up at two schools. Even as like if other authors are listening, I solicit other authors to donate their books to hand them out as giveaways at my events. One, because I like to collaborate and share other authors' work. And two, all this becomes very costly. I mean, it's fun to have stickers. It's fun to have cool shipping materials. You have these beautiful hardcover books that the price tag can get high. So it actually can kind of become a little painful, especially during launch time, because you've already invested large amount of money into your book. It becomes a little painful to kind of to give away a lot of your books, at least initially, right? It kind of stings. You're looking at every hardcover and you're thinking, oh man, that's like $100 worth of books I just gave away and I've barely made any money back. So soliciting other authors to donate one or two of their books gives the opportunity for the authors to get their books recognized in another geographical location, and it can save on your pocketbook with donating too many of your books. Because whenever you do event, there is a little energy around, Phil, you just can't compete with free. People want a free sticker, people want a free something. So you want to be able to do that, but you have to do it within financial reason.
Right, because being an indie author is not easy. Like you said, especially with the self-promotion and doing all that stuff where you have traditional writers, like you said, they have people doing that kind of stuff for them.
Right.
So it even behooves you more to be more careful and to be more mindful of how you're doing things and conducting things to where you're still able to make some money off your book and still get your message out too at the same time.
Yes, exactly. Like it can get really excessive, and it can get excessive in your time, the use of your time, depending on if you're an author who likes to have and ship out at home. Some people elect not to do that. I do like to do that. I just genuinely enjoy people shopping from my website and adding a little something. I like curating really special boxes. I like creating a personalized note. So I do choose to do that. However, it can kind of take over your household. So there's just like a lot of shipping and labeling. You have a label printer, you have boxes going out, you're running to the post office, and oh, I just got another order. All of that is great, and that's what we want to have happen. However, there you kind of do need to hit the pause button a little bit. So I'm really pushing hard with Daring Dexter's launch, since we just came out in April with Daring Dexter. And then I think I am going to kind of relax it a little bit and chill this summer, spend some time with my family. Like a lot of people, we've had some challenges the last couple of weeks, and I feel like I need a little bit of downtime. And then I think I might re-amp up the Halfway Home and Daring Dexter again in the fall and school season and connect with schools.
Well, Erin, can you tell me about your social media links and where your book can be purchased?
Yes, my social media links, which I absolutely love engaging on, particularly on Instagram. On Instagram, I'm at Erin Murphy Books with an S. Facebook page is at Erin Murphy Books. And then my Facebook page, which I still post and share a lot of book content, even outside of Halfway Home and Daring Dexter, like the aviation books and the books from BiblioKid, my publishing house, is just Erin Murphy. So I really am kind of digging this whole Instagram threads. It's kind of like a friendly Twitter. So I wasn't sure about it because Twitter wasn't my bag because I thought it was too negative. But there are some really playful, fun authors, indie authors, and community on Threads too. So I am on Threads, and I like to share. And it's a little bit fun, sarcastic, a little bit more relaxed. So I enjoy the Threads.
All right. Well, I've been seeing that on my Instagram feed as well. And I've been considering using threads, but now that I see that you've had a positive experience, maybe I'll take the leap.
I Yeah, I have. They kind of come up with some very simple hashtags. So that's the only thing that I find exhausting on Instagram, typing out all the hashtags for people who just follow the hashtag.
Right.
Um, by the time I do the post and type everything out, once I get to the hashtags, I'm ready to throw in a white flag, right? So
Yes.
the threads is a lot simpler and cleaner as far as that goes. And then anyone can contact me through email and my website. My website is erinmurphybooks.com. You can join my newsletter there. I have a free downloadable coloring guide if for those who I really do enjoy sharing all that, sharing personally through email too, if social media is not something that you are connected to.
And your book is available on Amazon and through what other retailers as well? And they can buy it through you as well.
Yes, I would strongly so all of my hardcovers like this, Half Home and Daring Dexter, $2 per book only from my website is donated to Animal Air Rescue,
Oh,
the
wow.
brand new PA, in conglomeration with Wings of Rescue. So only my website will support that. So the prices are elevated, but it does include a donation. Um, and they're sold everywhere else. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, Bookshop. I really like Bookshop donates a portion of the proceeds to independent bookstores every time you purchase. I have a off page on Bookshop as well. So if that's something that speaks to you, if you don't like the powers that be at Amazon anymore, Bookshop is an opportunity.
And I would suggest too, since you mentioned it, that people visit and maybe if I think they should have a website too, the Branding One SPCA. I think that would be a nice link to follow as well.
Yes, the Brandywine SPCA is just bvspca.org. So bvspca.org. Wingsofrescue.org is one of the air rescues. Pilots to the rescue.org. And then raceforliferescue.org. Those are the three airplanes and logos that are featured specifically in Daring Dexter.
All right. Well, Erin, this has been amazing as usual.
Yes.
Thank you so much for doing the podcast on what was just kind of a last minute thing. I had some time to do this. So thank you so much for being so flexible and for doing the podcast yet again. You're always an amazing guest and you're always welcome anytime you want to come on. So Erin, thank you so very much for doing the show today. I truly, truly appreciate it.
I love it, Phil. Phil, you'll have to have me on another time and we can just talk aviation books. Like that might be a fun segment. Of course, I'll always plug my Halfway Home and Daring Dexter books, but I would love for you to be able to see some of these other aviation books because I know you're a writer and all that. I think that would be really fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yes, indeed. Let's do it. All right. Well, Erin, thank you so very much for doing the podcast today. Again, it is truly an honor to have you on. And again, readers, read her books. They're awesome. And do learn about animal rescues because I think that's very important, especially in this day and age when there are so many animals needing homes.
Absolutely. Agreed. I appreciate your support in that area.
Oh, you're welcome, Erin. So, everyone, with that, that is the end of this episode of the Total Podcast with me, your host, Phil Scott. Everyone, stay safe, be careful out there, take care of one another, and we will talk again soon.